to the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling. We're talking today about Keith Lee's absence from WWE finally revealed, and CM Punk possibly being absent from AEW Rampage. Before we get into that, I'd like to remind you guys, as always, this being YouTube likes its algorithm, and its algorithm likes likes. So if you can take your finger and just hit a go to sleep on that like button, it'd be really appreciated. It helps the YouTube algorithm tell other wrestling fans about this channel, and that this channel covers pro wrestling, and it will encourage them to go check it out. So I appreciate it very much. Thank you guys, and let's get on with the news. So several months ago, I think it was back in May, I did a video about Keith Lee when there was a lot of speculation going on. And at the time, most people thought that, hey, maybe he's at odds with WWE, maybe he's got some issues with his mental health, maybe he's got physical problems, all these kind of things. And there was a lot of speculation running around, and of course with speculation and rumors, you have to say them as speculation and rumors. Well, it turns out that, yes, Keith Lee did have some health issues. Now, apparently he had contracted COVID, and WWE's medical staff did a pretty damn good job of treating it, diagnosing it, sending him to Pittsburgh so he could get his health back. There was some real complications with his heart, some very serious stuff that could have caused him some serious damage. Mia Yim took care of him for a while. A lot of people were giving her shade about that, and there's a whole bunch of, I'll get into that a little bit later. But the cool thing to know is that, no, it wasn't a pushing booking thing with WWE. Although now his booking is a little bit suspect since he's been back, but besides that, it wasn't that he was being intentionally kept off of TV or that he was going to be released. It's the fact that he had a serious health issue and was being kept off of television because of that, not because Vince didn't like him. So first and foremost, happy to hear that he's doing better now. Obviously he's doing better now. He's back in the ring wrestling, and hopefully he has continued health, good health, going forward in the future, and now his career can continue, and we can continue to bask in his glory, because Keith Lee is one of the more bright spots in WWE's main roster. Of course, to not keep the pro wrestling sports entertainment universe and the jackasses that liveth within it from turning this into some AEW WWE thing. So all the WWE sweaties are apparently very angry, as is evidenced by this. These people are very angry and now going, aha, see, you guys, you geeks. It's funny to hear somebody call other people geeks when when you have WWE my name in your Twitter handle, yet you're calling somebody else a geek. But anyway, these people were very upset because for months and months, people were speculating that maybe there was a problem with Vince and maybe he was being kept off the roster because of his weight and all these other reasons that WWE may have been holding back Keith Lee or not booking him or doing all this other stuff. And now they're all going, haha, you see? Yeah, because it's not like over the last year there's been dozens upon dozens of, and that's crap. In the last week, there have been over dozens of wrestlers who have not been on TV for quite some time, who've been released from the company. It's not like Malachi Black or Bray Wyatt or Braun Strowman or a bunch of, God, all 205 Live, 13 wrestlers from NXT, Bronson Reed, Tyler Breeze, Fandango, and we could go on and on and on. I can't imagine with all of those people being kept off of television and then eventually released, why anybody would have thought that maybe that was what's going on with Keith Lee too. It just boggles the mind why anybody would think that. It's truly the definition of the old saying that a broken clock is right twice a day. All these other times that was the case, and here's the one time it wasn't, and now it's like, aha! So it's, oh my God, I hate. I love you guys, most of you guys. I love most of you guys, but geez, man, being in the wrestling community sometimes. But let's talk about more rumors and speculation. CM Punk, who has been long rumored and speculated to be heading to AEW for the AEW Rampage show that's coming up next Friday in Chicago, was recently on a podcast or an interview or something where he was actually asked about this, which is the first time anybody has talked to him about it in the past couple of weeks since that big announcement came out on AEW Dynamite, and he basically said this.
About doing a screening of episode 3 of Heels at an AMC in Chicago, and that's one of the dates that has been, hope to see everybody there.
Cool. Yeah. That's unfortunate.
Hey, listen, best in the world. That could be anybody. It's Brian, right? That's my assumption. I hear best in the world. I think Brian.
Now, from the way it sounds, of course, it seems like CM Punk is like, huh? What day is that? Yeah, I may be doing this thing in Chicago for AMC for this TV show, Heels, that I'm on. Whether or not he's working or this is true or he's not going to be there or he is going to be there, I mean, it's up in the air. I think most of us find it really hard to imagine that AEW would have been giving this many hints about it, knowing the hints that they are giving, that CM Punk is going to be at Rampage in Chicago at the United Center, and for them to do all of this, for them to book the United Center, and then for CM Punk not to show up. I don't buy it for a minute. But it's good to put that seed of doubt in there, which is what AEW does a lot. Let's put it this way. If CM Punk doesn't show up in Chicago, that might be the end of AEW. I don't care how hardcore AEW fan you are, that's going to make you go, yeah, we're never going to trust you guys again. On the flip side, if it is, which I do think I'm like 80% leaning this way, that CM Punk is going to be there and he's just basically trolling the wrestling community, which he's known to have done many times in the past, that this is probably one of the most brilliantly played works for an audience that has been done in the last 10 years in wrestling. This all builds up to whether or not you were going to be hearing Cult of Personality between 10 and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, August the 20th on TNT. So we'll see. You know, it's good it's a fun thing to do. The speculation is fun. And again, as a last note, I'm going to say in this video, it is speculation. The truth be told about the wrestling community is, unfortunately, we still as a whole have not yet gotten to the point of going, hey, it's all wrestling, it's all sports entertainment, it's all related to each other, it's all the same genre with different versions of that genre, different avenues of that genre. Same thing with, and I always say this, it's just like movies. You have horror movies, you have comedies, you have sci-fi movies, you have comic book movies. I don't really see too much of the comic book movie fans yelling and screaming at the horror movie fans, and the horror movie fans yelling and screaming at the comic book movie fans. Somebody sent me a comment a couple weeks ago, like, why do you pay attention to Twitter and you talk about how bad it is, and then you still go back on there? And it's like, well, number one, when I post things, I post them on Twitter. And when I'm on Twitter, I see trending, Keith Lee, and I go, oh, what's going on with Keith Lee? What happened? And then I click on it, and I see the news report about Keith Lee. You also see all the idiots who say idiotic things about it, like, oh, you guys should apologize to Keith Lee. For what? Being upset that he wasn't being used on television and it looked like he was being released or kept off of TV or buried, like about 30 some odd other wrestlers over the last year who've been buried and released from WWE. Gosh, can't understand why those people would have thought that. Or saying things like, oh, if he was in AEW, they would have let him die, or WWE is the greatest in the world, or WWE did this, or AEW. Look, WWE is a business. They do what they do. AEW does what they do. There's some good things about the companies and some bad things about the companies. I am not shy about saying I'm not really a big fan of WWE's current product. Haven't been for a number of years, or their business practices. We can go back to the crown jewel thing to talk about the reason why I have problems with some of WWE's business practices. AEW does some stuff too. I talked about this past week's Dynamite, how it was okay, but there's a reason for it, but it wasn't great, and it's not like every episode of AEW Dynamite is fantastic. New Japan, which is my favorite company, I've been critical of them over the past year about working at half speed, and yeah, part of that's because of the pandemic, but some of the booking decisions about merging the titles and Evil's run as world champion didn't work out, and they were terrible and horrible. I just did a whole Patreon thing about why Evil's push did not work. That is called being a critical thinker, not a sycophant, not a lemming. When you can critically think, you can look at things and go, this is good and this is bad. And if there's more good than bad, then I might like this more than I like this other thing, where I find it to be more bad than good. I don't know if the wrestling community is ever going to not be disgusting like this, because it was kind of disgusting to see. Just loving the fact that this turned out to be a health issue, so they just couldn't wait to go, aha, now we can go after all those people who've been talking so bad about WWE because they released all these people, and they released, see, this one time it wasn't that, so you guys just hate WWE. It's so exhaustingly stupid, which is why I try to stay off of it as much as I possibly can. But I do this channel, so I can't totally shut off Twitter and not see any of this stuff. It's unfortunate. But I want to know what you guys think about this. Do you think CM Punk is or is not going to be at AEW Rampage coming up next Friday? And what do you think about Keith Lee and the reveal of his health situation and how some of the wrestling community has responded to it, which it is what it is. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. Until then, I'll see you guys for more news, rumors, and commentary. Note that word, rumors, and commentary here on the Rant and Review Pro Wrestling. Have a good day.